It all began on an ordinary gray morning in rural Iowa, where the silence of farmland stretched endlessly, broken only by the sound of cows, tractors, and the rustle of cornfields swaying in the wind. But inside the walls of a local high school, silence meant something else. Silence was survival. Silence was how Ellie Harper, a quiet 17-year-old farm girl, endured the cruelty of her classmates. Every day, she slipped through the halls like a shadow, carrying the weight of whispers, laughter, and mocking stares. She had grown used to the sting of insults, the shove against lockers, the snickers when her muddy boots clashed against polished sneakers. But nothing could have prepared her for the night it all went too far. And before we dive deeper into Ellie's heartbreaking and incredible journey, let me pause for just a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that show the true strength of the human spirit, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Kindness never fails. Your support helps us bring more stories of hope and inspiration to life. Ellie Harper wasn't the type of girl people noticed for beauty or popularity. With her brown hair often tied in a messy braid, her clothes smelling faintly of hay and barn soil, she was an easy target for those who thrived on weakness. But what no one at school knew was that Ellie had a secret life. Beneath the silence, beneath the lowered eyes and tired hands, she had been training. Every evening, after hours of farm chores, Ellie disappeared into the barn her father once used for storing hay. That barn had been transformed into a makeshift training ground. Worn-down mats covered the wooden floors, an old punching bag swung from the beams, and in the dim glow of a single light bulb, Ellie pushed herself to her limits. It started years ago, when her older brother, a passionate MMA fighter, taught her how to defend herself before leaving for the military. When tragedy struck and her brother never came home, Ellie clung to the one thing he left her: the discipline, focus, and fire of mixed martial arts. Every punch, every kick, every breath of training was not just about strength, it was about surviving a world that constantly tried to break her. But at school, Ellie remained silent, letting the bullies believe she was powerless. The worst of them all were the boys in varsity jackets, the ones who felt untouchable because of their status. They mocked her accent, her farm boots, and the dirt under her nails. Day after day, Ellie swallowed the pain, her heart burning with a quiet rage she never let show. Until one night, at the school prom, everything changed. The barn where she had trained for years had built a warrior inside her, but on prom night, she came dressed in her usual plain green dress, her hair loosely done. She wasn't there to impress anyone, she just wanted to feel normal for once. But bullies never rest. Under the flashing lights and pounding music, one of the boys grabbed her. His laughter echoed through the gym as his arm wrapped tightly around her neck in a chokehold. The crowd roared with amusement, believing it was just another joke at Ellie Harper's expense. But the choke tightened, her breath faltered, and her vision blurred. For Ellie, time slowed. She felt the weight of years of pain crushing down in that moment. And then, instinct awakened. The girl who trained in silence, the fighter who sweated and bled in a barn at night, broke free. With precise movements, her body unleashed what her heart had carried for so long. She twisted her attacker's arm, dropped her weight, and flipped him onto the floor with shocking force. The crowd gasped, stunned into silence. But Ellie didn't stop there. She stood tall, her chest rising with controlled fury, and delivered a clean, powerful strike that left everyone frozen. The boys who had mocked her, the classmates who had sneered at her, all suddenly saw her for who she truly was, not a weak farm girl, but a fighter forged in silence. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from fear, but from release. For the first time, Ellie Harper wasn't a victim. She was the storm no one saw coming. Word of that night spread across town. Parents whispered, teachers looked at her differently, and classmates walked with quiet respect in her presence. But Ellie didn't care about glory. She didn't fight for admiration. She fought for survival, for her brother's memory, and for every quiet soul who ever felt crushed by the cruelty of others. Still, Ellie's journey wasn't without struggle. The bullies tried to twist the story, painting her as violent, claiming she had snapped. For weeks, Ellie faced questions, judgment, and isolation. But in those moments, she drew strength from the same silence that once made her a target. Instead of shrinking, she stood taller, speaking little but showing everything through action. Slowly, the truth shone through. People began to understand that Ellie's strength wasn't born from anger but from resilience, discipline, and an unbreakable spirit. Years later, Ellie would go on to compete professionally in MMA, earning respect not just for her skills but for her story. She used her platform to speak against bullying, to remind the world that the quietest people often carry the loudest battles within. And in every arena, under every spotlight, she carried her brother's spirit with her, proving that even in the harshest silence, greatness can be born. And now, dear viewers, if Ellie's story of pain, strength, and triumph touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Never Fails. Your engagement means more than just numbers, it's a way of standing up for kindness, courage, and resilience in a world that desperately needs it. Before we end, I leave you with a special request. Comment below and tell us, what's one moment in your life where you found strength you didn't know you had? Your story might inspire someone else who needs hope today.